Welcome into the lounge presented by DraftKings. We have the pleasure of sitting down with DeSean Jackson today. And DeSean, I want to start here. So you're obviously known for your speed, right?
Yes, sir.
When is the first time that you ever remember winning a race? Like, when did you know you were fast?
Well, I think always growing up, when I was young, I was always kind of one of the smallest players on, every team I played on.
Yeah.
So like the only thing I could really brag about was my speed, because it was like I wasn't like no big dude. But I mean, I don't know. I just from all the way back to Pop Warner, man. On every team, I was like one of the fastest on my teams all the time. So I think maybe like around like 9 years old, my older brother Byron, he played in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs for like a couple years.
Yeah.
And he was fast too, but he was like 15 years older than me, so I knew he was fast. So I challenged him at a young age. I was like 9, and I was like, man, I could beat you. And he's like, man, you ain't gonna never be able to beat me. So I like raced him. And he says he won, but I think I beat him. But I was like 9 years old, and I got him. So once I beat my older brother, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's when I really knew I was fast.
And you said how much older was he?
He's like 15 years older than
So
me.
he was 24
at
this point, and you beat him as a 9-year-old?
Yeah, man. I had different type of speed at that age. But, I was always a competitor, though. Like, it was just something about me that, being one of the smallest dudes, like, everybody always tried to pick on me and, mess with me. So it's just like something about me always was talking stuff like, I was a very big competitor.
Right. Now, the last time I remember ever being fast was probably in like kindergarten, first grade field day. You remember field day and you had the relay races and all that.
Yeah, he was always the first pick.
You must have taken every ribbon at field day.
Yeah, no, they used to grab me fast. Like if anything got to do with a relay or running, like I was coming off the board pretty fast.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm kind of curious when you talk about like your passing, smaller guy, but your speed is what separated you.
Right.
Like, was that something that you had to sort of like fight against, that you would like being a smaller player, like you would always hear that draft talk or in the NFL or when you're in high school, when you're getting recruited by colleges, like you had to kind of fight against that notion?
I think for me, it was one of them things where I knew what I was great at and, I didn't run from it, but that's not all I wanted to be known for. You know what I'm saying? Like, football, obviously, being fast, but it was like me being a wide receiver. Like, I didn't want people to say, oh, he's a one-trick pony where that's all he could do was run fast, you know what I'm saying? So I prided myself on, running great routes, being able to run every route, not just the deep routes, the shallow routes, the intermediate routes, and just checking every box off the list, you know what I'm saying? So for me, it was just taking pride at being more than a speed guy, and I took emphasis and, I practice at everything, the extra work that people don't see or didn't know about, you know what I'm saying? Because they're like, oh, how are you so good? But it's like, I kind of work in silence. I don't really like a lot of people knowing what I'm doing or how I'm working or when I'm working. It's just like pop out and you see the finished product.
Well, we saw you pop out with a big play against Jacksonville. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, you hit the your speed was the third fastest time in the NFL this year, 21.72 miles per hour. I think that when you get signed and you're at this stage of your career, the question is like, does he still got it?
Right.
Did it feel good to show everybody? Yeah, I still got that speed.
If for me, I like I said, I'm confident in myself. I know what I'm capable of doing. So it's insurance, I guess, to the world. But I'm 36, just turned 36, just had a birthday. So
Happy birthday.
Appreciate it, man. I feel great, man. Playing this game at a high level, obviously. I'm not gonna be out there as much as I would if I was younger because just the rep counts and they want me as fresh as possible. But I see people like, man, why are you not out there more? It's just like it's whatever my role is, whatever I'm called to do. That's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to be on a team like the Ravens. Got a lot of talent, a lot of upside, and we're just taking it one game at a time, one day at a time, and just preparing ourselves to, hopefully be one of the last standing teams.
Do you still do speed training? Or is it like, you know what, this is God-given and it ain't ever leaving?
No, I do. In the off-season, like I say, I definitely, work very hard on the track throughout my whole career, honestly, because, I knew – like, it ain't like I'm going to be a weightlifter or a bodybuilder. So it's like at the end of the day, I'm a speed guy. So it's like if I stay fast, I know I can play this game for a long time. Right. So just off season, kind of staying on the track, staying with my track coach, being able to, just be dedicated, playing a sport and the highest sport at the highest level. Yeah. Dedication, man, and consistency is the two biggest things, and putting in the hard work. You can't, just think you're going to wake up one day and just be the same player if you're not putting in the work. So I just pride myself on putting the work in, man. And, like you said, when I get out on the field, these young dudes like, man, how you able to still run so fast? And a lot of these dudes I'm playing against was really like in middle school when I first came out, like all the plays when I was back in Philly with Michael Vick and all that stuff.
Right.
Like, they always like, man, applaud me about that. And it's like, I appreciate it, but right now we in the game. Like I'm worried about beating you right now. Like we'll talk about that after the game.
That is so funny. During the game, they're talking to you about that.
Man, for sure. Yeah, I get some crazy stories about a lot of these young dudes, but it's like it's definitely respectful and appreciated, but can't take that during the game. You gotta wait for after the game to holler about that.
Do you look at them during the game? You're like, you keep talking about this and talk about who I was and all this stuff. I'm about to cook you.
For sure, yeah. You gotta have that mentality because I know they're out there and they're younger, so I feel like they like, man, I can't let this old dude beat me. But at the end of the day, I look at this experience, man. Just still being able to play this game at a high level and just taking pride in it. I'm having fun with it, man. That's why I'm back here and doing it at year 15.
Right. Is it weird when you hear guys talking about like I watched you in middle school, like current players too, like when you joined this team and you go into that receiver room, like Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay, like they're like in middle school and elementary school, like when you're making the plays that you were making, like is it what is that feeling like when you step into that room?
Well, and Pat Surtain, right, who, for the Broncos, his dad played in the league. Did you ever go up against his dad?
That's why we was just having that conversation. I think, honestly, Pat Surtain, I think he was in the league probably like my first 2 years in the league. So I think I did cross paths against him.
That's awesome.
But another story that was crazy was Asante Samuel. I played with him in Philly, and I played against his son too. So it's like playing with a dude's dad and then playing with their son, it's just like revolutionary. So for me, I enjoy it, but it just shows me my accomplishments and how far I've came and how I'm able to still play at this level. Because not one time I'm sitting there thinking about something and not living in the moment. Like I can't think about 2008 or 2012 or 2015. Like I gotta live in the moment of right now. That's 2022. Because if not, and I'm thinking about the old days, some might be missed or some might happen. So it's like I gotta stay in the moment and just stay on my grind and just keep playing at a high level.
I'm curious because I have a nephew who plays football and he's pretty good now. He's gonna make his way, but he doesn't have the speed of you that you have. What advice do you have for kids who want to make big plays but aren't as gifted as you are in the speed department? Is it a mentality thing? What is it?
Yeah, no, I would really just say just work at it, man. Everything that I've been able to be blessed at, like the blessing or, to be able to say it's God-given, like that's good and that's great and all, but you still got to put in the work. So, even things that I'm not good at, I'm going to figure out a way to be great at it. Like it's a lot of things that I, have fun doing now, like playing golf or fishing or, just doing things that I probably was never good at. And it's like I mastered it because I keep doing it over and over and over. And it's like now, okay, I can be pretty. I ain't gonna say I'm great in golf, but I can be pretty good in the fishing. I kind of took a liking for fishing, and I'm pretty good at that now too. So it's just like things that may not come easy or something you didn't do growing up. Just work hard at it, and if you work hard at it, put the work in, you could be great at anything.
So you signed here in mid-October to the practice squad. Talk me through that. Were you talking with any teams prior to coming here? Like, when we signed you, it's kind of like, oh, he's still out there. Like, what was going on behind the scenes there? Did you think about signing anywhere else? Why'd you wait till then to sign?
Yeah, well, I had a few teams that obviously was interested. Last year, January, I finished my season in Las Vegas, played with the Raiders, and we went to the first round of the playoffs, lost to Cincy. And after that, I kind of just took time off and just was like not really worried about the next steps. It was like my agent was hitting me up and say I had teams interested, but obviously the age always plays a factor when you're 35 and all the teams like, man, he's older. Like, can he still play? Can he still do it? So for me, no offers really interested me. So I just kind of just focused on, my kids, myself, took time to myself and, just really enjoyed finally some family time and just, doing whatever I wanted to do because in the past, like once the season's over, I get right back to it. I'm signed to a team. I got OTAs, off-season workouts, training camp. So this year was my first time in like really like 15, 16 years if you add college into it,
Right.
where I was able to just not do nothing, and I kind of like fell in love with it. It was like a feeling like, man, this is what it feels like. So I kind of got a taste of retirement, and I don't know, man, kind of out of nowhere, something sparked. Like it was like the first few weeks, I'm sitting at home watching football on Sundays, and I'm like, man, I can still play. Like I knew like I can still go out there and play. So interesting story, the Ravens was talking to my agent, during training camp, and they wanted me to come out and, meet with Harbaugh, because, Harb's got a thing where, like, he wants to meet with the players and, especially like free agents or somebody he doesn't know. And I'm like, man, what does he need to meet with me for? It's like, I'm a vet player. Like, he knows what I've done over my career. So that was kind of me being a little, like, cocky a little bit. But I'm like, man, I didn't really want to come, because I'm like, he knows about me. He knows what type of player I am. So I kind of sat around and chilled, and then out of nowhere, man, they reached back out and was like, yeah, we have interest. If he comes out for a workout and he looks good, we're interested in signing him. So I'm like, at that point, I had like Andy Reid, who was my coach in Philly. Me and him was talking back and forth. I was talking to the Steelers. There was a few teams I was talking to, but it was just something about, Lamar, man. I had my eyes on him for the past few years, because I always look back at my younger days when I played with Vick, and it's like something about Lamar, like I'm like, they're very similar. I'm like, man, it would be crazy to be able to play with Vick and Lamar, the new era of a Michael Vick.
Right.
So, just the past few years talking to Lamar and like kind of keeping in contact with him, I'm like, man, tell your coaches to bring me in. Like, man, tell the folks to bring me in. It's crazy how it worked out. I'm here now.
That's crazy. So you guys had formed a relationship, I'm guessing, over social media?
Yeah, over social media, texts here and there, and then I seen him in a few Super Bowl events and just kind of like just respected each other. Obviously, he's a big Michael Vick fan, and obviously me too, so, and vice versa. I'm a big fan of his too, so it's like, man, it's just crazy how everything worked out.
I think it's interesting that you say, like, Lamar was the factor that, it sounds to me like Lamar was the factor.
Yeah, he was, man. I ain't gonna lie, because he a special dude, man, in his game, man, and just how he's able to play this game, man, it's very interesting, man.
So now that you've been here for more than a month, how does he compare to Michael Vick?
Man, honestly, a lot of people ask that, and the thing I say is Michael Vick, he never really had plays designed for him to run. It was more like plays breaking down and like he's scrambling and making things happen.
Right.
This offense is more designed for Lamar to kind of have gaps and to run and be in open space like that. But I think like Michael Vick's more straight line fast. I think Lamar is like more, instincts and like a cat, like, and he doesn't take hits.
Right.
Vick, we used to get so mad at Vick because he used to take hits and he didn't know how to slide. But for some reason, Lamar, like he dodges hits, and like you would think he's about to get smacked, and he kind of just like falls down and like not get hit. So I think they definitely have a lot of similarities, but just more of that cat instincts. Like he's different, dog.
So we'll put you on the spot. Who is the better runner, Vick or Lamar?
Oh man, I think times has changed now, man. If I had to choose right now, it's tough. I love Vick, man. I love Lamar, but I think I would take Lamar, man.
Oh, all right, there we go.
He's sitting here on the Ravens couch. He has to take Lamar, right?
Well, I think Vick even conceded when he broke his record. He was like,
I'm realistic though, because like I say, if you was to ask who's faster, I would probably say Vick's faster.
Right.
Like the
tracks,
the young Vick, and back in the day when he was running crazy, but just like right now, I think Lamar is a better runner right now.
The stats bear it out too. Like he broke his record.
He broke it, so I mean, shit is fair to say, right?
Exactly.
right.
That's awesome. So for you, one thing that struck me when you got here is like, and you signed to the practice squad, and you, like, some guys would say, I'm not going to sign to the practice squad with your credentials, but you did that. And then, like, when you weren't playing, you were like one of the most active guys on the sideline. You're running up and down the field. You're celebrating with teammates. And to me, it felt like that, like, you earned respect, I think, that way. That's how it seemed to me. Like, you made yourself, like, part of the team, one of the guys. Right. Was that, like, a conscious thing that you did when you got here?
Yeah, I took pride in that. Coming in, like you said, the ideal situation wouldn't have been for me to sign on a practice squad and, be on a practice squad for the past month, So, you kind of almost had to put the pride to the side, be a guy that's an older veteran guy that's played a lot in this league, that had a lot of success, has a lot of records. For me, it was just really like, what do I want my resume to look like on my way out? You know what I'm saying? Like I have a chance to write the end of the story, and what is it going to look like? Because last year, I don't feel like that was my end, walking away from the game and not really being on my terms. So coming here now is like, I just wanted to put my best foot forward, show people, how desired I am into winning and to being a mentor and to be a guy that's a true veteran and teaching these young guys and show them the right way to do it. Because when I was young, I didn't do everything right. I had to learn the hard way on a lot of things. But now being a more bright guy and kind of understanding the business and how it works with the front office, the GMs, the owners, it's like I can really tell these young guys like what to expect for, what to look after. And, the best thing is just putting your best foot forward. Every day you come to work, putting on your hard hat and your boots and just coming to work and, leaving everything else for us, for what it's for. You work for what you deserve. And if you work for it, you could get a lot of things out this game.
Now, last year you started out with the Rams and then midseason went to Vegas. Mm-hmm. You got a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
Right, yeah. I was just curious, like, how you kind of look back on that, and did that even fuel more of that, you know what, man, I want to go out a Super Bowl champion this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be on the team like that last year, throughout training, going back to offseason, OTAs, training camp, and playing 8 games, midway through the season, and just kind of seeing what – the relationship we built, camaraderie with the team and the players. I mean, it's a special thing. Unfortunate that things didn't really work out and I had to leave and go to Las Vegas. But that desire for me, man, is the only thing I'm really missing. Is a Super Bowl, and it's like I've played in some big games, had some big moments, big plays.
Sure.
But obviously that Super Bowl is something that I feel like I'm deserving of. So. If it's meant and it happens, hopefully that's this year. But like I say, the Ravens has always been a team that I respected, their way they go about their business, the way they play, their toughness. And, I think this is a special place here. And I've heard a lot of good things about this place before I've got here, too. Yeah. I got a lot of people that's played here, coached here. And, everything I've always heard was this is a place that I wanted to be. So, listening to them and taking – what they said, their advice, and now I'm here. It's like I get what they're saying now, so I'm happy and excited about it. But we got a lot of work to do, man. We're not done, and hopefully we can accomplish those goals.
Now, you mentioned, I think a little bit earlier, that the Steelers were one of the teams that were interested in you.
They were. So now I got an edge to really get after them because they probably promised. I wouldn't say they promised and stuff, but. Mike Tomlin, we had a few talks. He's like, yeah, I'm going to bring you in. Never happened. So now it's like, all right, now y'all missed out now, so y'all on the other side. So now I got some extra motivation.
You got some extra cooking to do.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Do you expect that that's going to, you've been part of some big-time rivalries, obviously Philly, Dallas, Washington, Dallas.
For sure.
What do you feel like this Ravens-Steelers rivalry is going to feel like?
Honestly, I'm excited about it. I've been hearing a lot about it. I know they're 4-0 in the past 4 games versus, so hopefully we can rewrite that streak. And man, I'm definitely excited. I grew up a Steeler fan. A little bit, my family is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Growing up, my mom and dad moved to California, late 70s, early 80s, and I was born in Cali, and they ended up raising me in Cali. But I have a lot of family that's from Pittsburgh, so rest in peace, my dad. I lost him in 2009, but. My first game, actually, when I was in Philly, we played the Pittsburgh Steelers for the preseason game. My dad had the Eagle Jackson jersey on, but he had this terrible towel. So I was just telling my brother this morning, I said, I know my dad going to have a terrible towel, but he going to have that Ravens 15 jersey.
That's funny. That's great.
Sure.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So Lamar Jackson obviously got hurt. Snoop comes in, and you guys get the win, on Sunday. Obviously, you want Lamar Jackson on the field, as we've been talking about. But how much confidence do you have in Snoop and the way he was able to kind of have command of the huddle? And if he has to be the guy for a few games here, that you're confident he can do the job?
I mean, the NFL this is a tough sport, man. And, sometimes, unfortunate, the guys go down and it's almost the next man up mentality, and that's what you have to have. That's the memory. You have to have a short memory, and in that moment, we're all professionals. We get paid to be a professional. So when one guy goes down, the next man has to step up. And Snoop did a great job of coming in, being prepared. One thing I can say about him, he's in tune with the playbook. as you can see, I don't even think we missed a beat. Not saying that we wouldn't love Lamar to be out there, but as far as the play calling, they didn't shift the play calling around. We called the same plays that was in for Lamar when Snoop came in there. So that just shows you the confidence they have in him, and he's able to carry that workload, and we're excited about it. He's going to be out there, and at the end of the day, Lamar, he got to get right, got to get his knee right, and when it's his time to get back out there, we'll be happy about that. But right now, we got to roll what we dealt with, man. These are the cards that's dealt right now, so we're excited about it.
Now, one thing I kind of like to see, big time game in Pittsburgh, rivalry game.
Sure.
One thing I kind of like to see is a little throwback DeSean punt return touchdown.
A little punt return.
Do you miss it at all?
I do, man. But man, for some reason, man, they don't really want me back there too much no more. Unless it's like one of them end games where it's a tie game where we might be down, need a big play.
Exactly.
So I definitely Chris is I actually played against Chris at UCLA, man. He was actually on the Bruins when we played against each other, and I got a few punt returns on them. So I give him a hard time about it. But yeah, man, we'll see if the moment arises, and it's one of the moments. I'm definitely intrigued about going back there.
That's funny. So you play with guys. This is how you know
Coaching, man.
You play with the coach,
and
play with the kids of some of the guys of parents you play with. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just for you at this point, like, do you? Like, you come in, it seems like you feel comfortable saying to a coach, hey, like, I'm ready, put me back there, punt return,
sure.
Give me a shot here, like, take that deep shot. Like, that seems like at this point of your career, like, when you have your credentials, that you feel comfortable, like, let them know.
I think it's just more of, like you said, the credentials and the relationship you have with a coach. You build a rapport with them. But for me, everything I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be able to back it up. I'm a firm believer that, if I'm feeling the way in the game, or might tell a coach, this defender is guarding me this way, like, let's try to go deep, or he's playing back, let's, run it underneath route. Like, I feel like my game and my acknowledgement of the game is just at a different level, so I'm able to see things different, being a guy that's played so long in this league. So, having the relationships with coaches like that to be able to come tell them certain things, that's key, because it's big having that view on the game, and to be able to implement it where it's like you might be able to tell them something that can help out with the in-game situation.
Was the big play against Jacksonville one that you called out, or was that just the play?
I was been trying to get that play called. It just happened to be at that time. But like I say, man, I'm here to do a job and to do it at a high level, and anytime when them plays is called, if it's anything to do with number 15, I'm gonna be there and rise to the occasion.
Well, you had your highest snap count of the season this past game. I think you played what was it?
Like 27 plays.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought you almost had Surtain on that double move that you gave him.
Yeah,
I was like, ooh.
That's just Snoop. See, Snoop, we've just started playing together, so we talked about that when we seen it. He was like, man, I could have waited a little longer to throw it, but he kind of had pressure and he had to get it up a little bit. But, just like little plays like that, or like other plays, throughout the game. I mean, so many things happen throughout the game, and it's hard to make everyone perfect. So, just playing with a guy and him being able to see, like, all right, next time I know if I throw it like this or I do it like that, like, it'll be a different, result.
Oh, there's going to be more big plays.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my last question for you just is, you kind of mentioned you got to taste of retirement this offseason. What is next for you? Are you playing this season saying, you know what, this is it, or is it, who knows?
Yeah, I think right now, man, I'm enjoying this ride right now, and this offseason I'll look back and reevaluate and just really see what's next in store. But I still feel like I have more football left in me. I don't think this year will be the last year of me playing. So with that saying, if I can hint anything, I would love to be back here next year and playing the year. And after that, I mean, I don't really know about the coaching side of it, but I definitely would want to do something front office, maybe scouting, or maybe doing something on like a high school level or some broadcasting. But I love helping people. I want to be able to get back to these young kids growing up, and want to push to get into the NFL and just really give them the information. I think the information of knowing what to expect is huge, man. You can't miss count of, how to be that guy, just depending on your role.
Right.
Some people might be stars, some people might not be stars. So, I mean, it's a role for everybody. So just encouraging kids to kind of just go after their dreams, and whatever it is they believe in is possible.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been fun sitting down with you, getting to know you a little bit. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing some more of those big plays.
Sure, man.
All right.
Flock.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Sean.
Great stuff from Deshaun. Enjoyed the conversation. Just an interesting guy. It was good to get to know him a little bit, and I like kind of hearing about his backstory, the process, and all that. Before we continue with the conversation, we want our listeners to know that the sports landscape is always changing, and this week is no different. DraftKings is the leader in daily fantasy sports, and it still has daily fantasy contests running for those who are looking to have skin in the game. It's simple. Every player has a salary associated with drafting them. You assemble a lineup of players, and then you try to stay under that salary cap as you sit back and watch your points pile up. Now you know how to play. Download the DraftKings app today. Sign up using the code FLOCK. New users get a free entry with their first deposit. Again, the code is FLOCK, and you can sign up today at DraftKings. Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaway after talking with Deshaun?
He's about to roast the Steelers.
Ooh, yeah, a little motivation, a little extra motivation game, revenge game.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a really good conversation. He's just a real dude, and obviously very comfortable with who he is at this point of his life and what he's done and what he's accomplished and what he still wants to accomplish. And so I just thought it was a really interesting conversation. One thing that I found out in the research that it just didn't work its way into the interview. Did you know that he was actually also a really good baseball player growing up?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So apparently the Tampa Bay Rays considered drafting him in the first round back in the 2005 MLB draft. He was like a very good center fielder in high school out in California.
He was kind of like a Kyler Murray.
Kind of, yeah. Like he wanted to play both sports, baseball and football, but the baseball teams who were scouting him, the Phillies were also really active in scouting him and were considering drafting him. But they said, we'll do it if you quit football. And he was like, nah. And kind of interesting. Like he was like a 300 hitter who stole a ton of bases, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
5-tool player, it sounds like.
Yeah, like teams were just blown away by his speed. And but he wanted to play football.
Well, the football thing has worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah, I think that was the right decision.
Yeah, I think it's gone okay. It's when you have a guy. The Ravens have had a few guys in this mold. Over the past couple of years. Des Bryant is an example. A guy with a track record and a big name, and DeSean Jackson's kind of similar in that. I think the Ravens are getting more out of DeSean than they got out of Des that year.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it kind of is similar, and it's just interesting when these guys come in, the experience that they have, and he's been front and center for a long time, and now he's kind of takes a back seat, on this team. Got to work his way onto the team. Talks about the practice squad, that's a hit to the pride. You got to put that to the side. But I think that he's really just kind of worked himself into this team well, both from a locker room standpoint and from an actual on-field production standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's just more to come from him. I mean, he's going to be a big part of this offense and trying to kind of turn things around offensively here down the stretch. And really the big difference between he and somebody like Dez is his speed, right? Yeah. He has an attribute that has not aged, that has not taken a hit by age, and he can kind of always rely on that to make, a big play, to have a big play. And so as we saw in the Jacksonville game, and as I'm sure we'll see more of, he's going to hit some of this.
Well, look, I mean, I think that the thought process here is if you can get 4 plays like that,
that could have won the game.
That could have won the game.
If any player that you have on the team, if you point to that player and be like, he won us 3 games this year, that's a big addition. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a huge addition. And of course, even if the Ravens had beaten the Jags, there was a lot of smaller plays that go into that and whatnot. But if they hadn't gotten that play from DeSean, they wouldn't have been as close as they were to winning that game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if they had won that, you would have been DeSean, that signing just won the game.
Yep. Totally.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, and also just we didn't ask him about this, but he is officially on the active roster now. He was pulled off the practice squad. The way the practice squad works, you get 3 elevations. He used them up. Now he's obviously the Ravens want to keep him. He's on the active roster now.
Yep.
So we're not going to have to deal with any Saturday activations and wondering if he's going to be activated on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's going to be an important piece down the stretch. I mean, like he said, he's not playing 60 snaps a game.
Yeah.
But the 15, 20 snaps that he plays can be really impactful. And, the Ravens need playmakers on offense, and I think he's going to be an important one down the stretch.
Yep, totally agree. So, big game against the Steelers.
Steelers week.
Yep, the revenge DeSean game.
This is a chalk it up win for you. You've been talking for years about how this is Steelers are nothing anymore, right?
That's right. Stick to my guns. No, I mean, obviously the calculus changes without Lamar on the field.
Yeah.
As much confidence as I have in Snoop,
Yeah.
Lamar is Lamar, right? And so I think the Ravens offense, which was already scuffling a little bit,
Yep.
is a little bit more limited in its, with Lamar out there, even if what Lamar can just have Lamar magic at any time, right? Like I felt like even going into last week, the offense wasn't playing particularly well, but like at any time Lamar can heat up and thus the offense can take off, right? And I never really felt like okay, it was going to look like the Chiefs offense or the Dolphins offense or the Bills offense or whatever, but like I just always felt like it could really heat up.
Well, I mean, you did see that in a few games. Like the first half of Tampa was ugly, and then the second half, it's like, all right, now the offense is humming.
Right.
Jacksonville, the offense struggled for most of the game, and then all of a sudden it ends up kind of turning it on late. And the game ends up being 28-27 in that game.
Yeah.
And so they made some plays late. So like, I'm with you. Like there's evidence of that it was like. It's going to turn. It's going to turn. It's going to turn.
And now I feel like, until Lamar's back on the field, it's a little bit more of a dink and dunk, grinded out kind of offense, right? And you hope to get a couple big plays from DeSean and or other guys, but like that's just what it's going to be, right? And I think the Ravens need to execute well under those conditions, right? They need to, I think, run the ball better, which will put them in more manageable down and distance situations. They haven't been running the ball at the same clip as they were early and called runs with the running backs. Hasn't been quite as effective as it was earlier. And now teams are devoting a lot of resources to stopping that. There's a bunch of Ronnie Stanley hasn't been on the field for the past 2.5 games. We probably shouldn't forget about that. Mm-hmm. That's a factor. Once JK gets on the field, whether that be this week or soon, that'll, I think, make a difference too. But, they need to, I think, run the ball better. Tyler needs to continue to play efficient ball, complete a lot of passes, not turn the ball over, which was a little bit of a bugaboo for him at the tail end of last season when he stepped in for Lamar.
Yep.
But he gets the ball out of his hands fast, makes, quick reads, gets the ball out, and he kind of keeps the offense on track a little bit. But, we saw a lot of short passes, try to get some yak in this past game against Denver. You'd like to not be in so many third down situations, right? Like the Ravens were constantly in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, right? Which is fine, but you're not going to hit all of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, you to be able to sprinkle in a few 10-yard gains on 1st and 10, that makes a big difference and helps you move down the field more efficiently.
Look, I think it'll be challenging to do that this week against the Steelers because when you're trying to hit the big play, you need time. Yeah. TJ Watt coming around the edge makes that very difficult.
That limits the time.
Yep. And then
the pass rush was the issue. I mean, the Broncos were
they were turning up heat.
They got a lot of pressure.
They were turning up heat, and then the other thing too is they've got a really good safety in Minka Fitzpatrick, who missed some time earlier this year, but he's back. So their defense is good. The Steelers' defense is good, and I think it's going to be kind of a slog a little bit, which is often the case.
I think you have to be able to run the ball against the Steelers.
I think you do too, but that's not easy either with Cam Hayward right there in the middle of their defense.
They've been a little susceptible on the ground. I know you, and you're always scared of the Steelers. Like you're always scared. Okay.
Yeah. And it's been 4 straight, okay? And every year you say, every game, you say with the Steelers, this is an easy win. Easy win here.
I never say that.
And now, I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be kind of a grinded out AFC North December football kind of game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's going to be, I think, really the Ravens the rest of the way. Let's be honest. The defense is the strength of this team right now. Mm-hmm. It's been constructed that way. The midseason trade was for Roquan. It wasn't for a wide receiver that a lot of fans were clamoring for. Mm-hmm. The Ravens have pushed the chips in on their defense and said that's going to be kind of our calling card this year. That's going to be the strength, and we're going to rely on Lamar on the offense. Well, now Lamar's hurt, right? And so, you're even more handicapped on offense. And so the defense is going to have to carry the load. And you know what? They don't have Big Ben out there either. Yeah. I like the Ravens defense going against rookie quarterbacks. I just do. Big Ben kind of had this. He could be the Ravens' kryptonite at times. Like you couldn't kill the guy, right? I mean, as many times you plunge the stake in his heart, he just kept rising from the dead, and so he's done. Ben's done. Yeah. And I will be excited to see what this Ravens defense does to get Marcus Williams back on the field, with this pass rush the way it's playing right now. Do they get after Kenny Pickett a little bit, force some turnovers, and how do they play against him? That's going to be, I think, how they win the game.
Yeah, I think the turnovers. This probably you could say this every week, but I do think this could be a game where the turnovers decide it. Snoop had the pick last week, and you mentioned that the interceptions were kind of an issue for him down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to play efficiently, but you need to avoid the one critical turnover that puts you in a really bad spot.
Totally.
And so let's say he avoids those, and I agree that I think yards and points are probably going to be tough to come by both ways.
Yep.
But if all of a sudden this defense, can Marcus Peters, is this the Marcus Peters pick? Is it the pick 6? It's been a little while since we've seen a Marcus Peters pick 6. Is this the week that we see it?
I wouldn't bet against that. I would not bet against
like
that at all.
That'd
I would
great.
like that very much. Yeah, I do think that turnovers are going to be a big factor in this game, protecting the football. That's just what it is. AFC North in a grinded out kind of game. Oftentimes, I mean, the Ravens lost the turnover battle against the Broncos. Like, there are all these stats that say the Ravens should have lost that game, and they ended up pulling it out.
Yeah.
I think that if you lose the turnover battle to the Steelers, it's going to be really hard on the road when that place is rocking and all that.
I think we can probably guess it's going to be a close game. 22 of the last 28 games between these two teams have been decided by one score.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Right.
One score decides basically every Ravens-Steelers game, no matter where it is, when it is, who the quarterback is, all that stuff.
Well, it's felt like that's every Ravens game for the past 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Since 2019, every game of ours has been one score.
And most games in the NFL are one score, but these two teams have played this many close games. They're just built similarly in certain ways, and I think the defenses are both excellent.
Yep.
And it's going to be a fun battle.
Totally agree. Well, thanks for listening and watching. As always, you can reach us at the lounge at ravens.nfl.net and get ready for the big Pittsburgh win. Let's go to Hines and beat them, baby. You're scared. I ain't scared. The Ravens aren't scared. Nobody's scared. We're going to get the big win.
It's not called Hines anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hines, whatever it's called now.